Yeah, no question about it. I was really impressed, and even with some of the spawn mechanics not going the way of 31er, they still bounced back and were able to take that final P4, and ultimately that hold is what won them the game. So you've got to give them so much credit, bouncing back from a slow map 1, bouncing back from a map 2. Like, even though you're heading into map 3 tied 1-1, in your mind it's still got to feel to a certain degree like you're down 2-0, and the fact that they were able to dominate the way that they did in the control and then the convincing summit hardpoint as well, this is definitely a team that has earned their spot.
Well, it doesn't mean the panic's out yet, okay? We've said it all day. This was just the upper bracket portion of our competition. So while 31er will move forward and secure that 4th spot in the challenge, alongside exclusive Kings and 117, Panic will still drop down. They'll end up facing off against Venturion tomorrow. Then we've got Zidium down there against Lethal East. Discord server to hang out the community, discord.gg/Snapdragon Pro Series, to find some friends, talk all things COD, just spend some time with us hanging out. It's super cool, and you can do so all summer as we've got so much more action in store. But today is done, which means our first 4 spots in the challenge have been solidified. We still have day 2 all day tomorrow to figure out who the last 4 remaining teams that we'll be seeing competing throughout our challenge season are. So make sure you are back here same time to watch the rest of that action unfold. As always, a huge thanks to our sponsors, Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy, and Monster Energy, for helping us make this entire thing possible. And of course, on behalf of myself, Bobby, Mommy, everybody behind the scenes, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Got the time, put me in, coach. I've been going hard, time to let it show. Everything raw, give it to me now. Let me have the spot, man, it's going down. Gotta get it here, I don't wanna wait. Take what I want, then I go train. Gotta get a win, I won't lose the game. This is my year, I ain't gonna break. Strap in, cause it's gonna be a long ride. Working on me every single day and night. There comes a time when your worlds will collide. If it's holding you back, push it right to the side.
Another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal.
Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to
medal, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal.
Ain't got no time for no care. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. I don't got the time, put me in, coach. I've been going hard, time to let it show. Everything raw, give it to me now. Let me have the spot, man, it's going down. Gotta get it here, I don't wanna wait. Take what I want, then I go train. Gotta get a win, I won't lose the game. This is my year, I ain't gonna break. Strap in, cause it's gonna be a long ride. Working on me every single day and night. There comes a time when your worlds will collide. If it's holding you back, push it right to the side.
Another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal.
Ain't got no time for no They don't know what's on it, gotta own it. Fight through it, we was at the lowest. Blood, sweat, tears, the components. Riding all year, now's the moment. We are not friends, we are opponents. Yeah, I'm coming for mine, yeah. I'm making a play, the game on the line, yeah. I've been on the grind, yeah. Jump in the spot, I made it my time, yeah. Look in the sky, yeah. The stars align, no shade to shine. Can't stop it already, emotional work and devotion. We put in this time, look. You won't stop my stride. I'll just break your line. I don't wasted time. Take us down. Keep fighting.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Snapdragon Pro Series, where today is our Call of Duty Mobile Open Finals, but this time it's for the EU region, which means today we will determine who will be competing in our challenge season, and it's going to be very exciting. I'm your host, Glitter Explosion, and I'm joined back by our wonderful casters, Bobby and Mommy. Are you guys ready for another region of amazing COD M gameplay?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people have been excited for EU for a while. This has always been one of the most chaotic regions in Call of Duty Mobile, and you just never really know what to expect. But no question, they are always entertaining, and I am expecting that to 100% be the case once again today.
And Mommy, what about you?
Feels great. It feels great to be back. I mean, we already started with NA, and now we're going into EU, where we're having twice the action because, yes, we have 2 days this time compared to the just 1 day last week for NA. So I'm pretty excited because I feel like this is a really special region in my heart because there's so many talented players here that really just want to make a name for themselves this time around.
Which means that if today is day 1 of 2 days, you guys have more than enough time in chat to make sure you are following us on social media, because it's not just today, it's not just tomorrow. We're going to end up with an entire summer's worth of Call of Duty Mobile action, and you don't want to miss any of it. So make sure you guys are following us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere you can get on our socials to stay up to date with all of the Snapdragon Pro Series action. And of course, if you want to hang out with our community, don't forget we have that brand new Discord. It's at discord.gg/Snapdragon Pro Series. Come hang out with us in the community, talk all things Call of Duty Mobile, make some new friends. It's a really cool place to be, so make sure that you guys are checking it out. But let's talk about how today is going to work. Now, if you guys were here for the NA show, then you got a little bit of a preview when it comes to that. But let's review it again for them, Bobby, okay? Just in case they're new here for the first time, it's a new region, they might have missed it. Let's talk about how today's going to work.
Yeah, it's been a long time in the making, no question, but obviously all of our teams battled it out in stage 1. There was there was a lot of chaos there. Stage 2, where they went at it as well. Is my mic working? Yep. Okay. All right, I was getting some other comments from other casters. Anyways, lot happening. I'm gonna pass it back to you, Blair. I'm a little, yeah. Format bracket coming up. Stage 1. Chaos. Obviously, stage 3 is where we're at right now, and yeah, it's been 128 teams that whittled down all the way to 16. And those 16 are going to be battling it out today as we get ready to head into stage 4, which is where the prize money starts to get even bigger.
All right, we'll get that format graphic up here for you guys just in a second so you can get a visual to go along with what Bobby's talking about. And here are all the stages that Bobby was just referencing as far as the format goes. Like we are currently in the open finals. Like I said, when we opened up the show, we're going to be whittling everyone down from this open final stage, top 16, into the top 8 for challenge, where we're going to be doing that 8-team round robin format into the 4-team double elimination bracket. And that's what we keep talking about, because then, Mommy, it moves into the world championship. That's what a lot of these teams are going to be striving for. That's where everybody wants to be at the end of all of this, because that's where the glory is, the massive prize pool. And speaking of prize pool, we even have a prize pool for the open final stage that our players get to be playing for on top of everything else that they've got on the line.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time that we get to see a prize pool here in stage 3, so you're not going to be going home empty-handed. You can see over here, first all the way into 4th is $500, and even if you don't end up into that spot, you still have $150, but obviously you want to be into that top 4 spot. And honestly, for me, yes, the money's good, but also the experience that you have, because this is the most extensive stage 3 that we've ever had, with so much more matches compared to the past years here at Glitter.
Yeah, and that's going to make a huge difference as they continue to progress through each stage of the competition, because it's only going to get more and more difficult in every single stage. But when we're looking at today, like I said, we've got our top 16. So let's start talking about that, Bobby, because our bracket today, obviously it's 2 days long, so we get to watch the entirety of both the upper bracket and the lower bracket. So let's walk through some of the names that we're going to be seeing in the matches.
Yeah, one of the beautiful things about EU is they've always had some of the most talent in COD Mobile. It's just been a question of whether or not that talent has found the right place where they really fit into a roster that's able to excel in the space that they're in. I think the one that has absolutely done that so far, and what a lot of people would consider the super team of EU, is Kings. No question, they are the favorites coming into this. But outside that, it is very much a toss-up for who the number 2 team is. There's a lot of talent. You look at 117, you look at Animus, you look at Exclusive, Zidium, 31, Panic, like even teams in the lower bracket like Team Mobility. Everybody is really putting up their talent and has a chance at making it into one of those top spots. So across the board, this is no question going to be one of the most entertaining regions.
I am excited that we get to watch each individual match as well, so we'll be able to keep up on all of the action. And as this bracket progresses, chat, we'll make sure to be updating you on every single result. If you come in late to the stream and you miss something, don't worry. We'll be bringing the bracket up a lot so you can see how every single team is progressing and what those score lines were, because it's going to be a massively competitive day, and I'm excited for it. Let's see how the day is going to run, though. Schedule-wise, for day number 1 of the competition, we're going to be focusing on the upper bracket matches here today, Mommy.
Ooh, upper brackets. This is a really spicy region because, like what Bobby already said, is everyone's looking at the top EU team right now, which is going to be the Kings. But again, there's still so much more potential in every single one of these teams. I'm looking at 117 right now because they weren't able to make it last year, unfortunately, and now it looks like they're making a really strong comeback, knowing very well that the last tournament that they played, they just came off second up against Kings, and I'm really excited to see how they're going to fare up against Animus.
It's going to be a really, really cool way to start off the day. And we'll be getting into those matches in just a little bit here while we let our players get set up. We have to remember that this is coming off the tail end of NA, and we had some really good gameplay there as well. Let's talk a little bit about what we saw in that region before and what we can expect out of EU, because I think we even have some highlights that we can run through here, Bobby.
Yeah, it's obviously in North America, we had a lot of action to keep track of. You have a very top-heavy North American region where I think everything was fairly expected, and I don't think it's going to be that straightforward here in EU. Like I mentioned before, even some of these teams in the lower bracket have a very real chance of not only making it up into stage 4, but potentially being one of the top teams overall. You got Team Mobility, formerly Team Enigma. They have finished top 4 in EU before, and across the board, there's just been so many consistent roster and talent shuffles in Europe that coming into this, there's no way of knowing who to expect on top besides that King roster. And I think I think every single one of these teams outside of Kings has a lot to prove coming into this tournament.
Mommy, what were some of the highlights from NA as we can continue watching these in the background here that had jumped out for you?
There's so much more highlights that we expected here. I mean, it's really just seeing a lot of these teams try to kind of adjust to the maps that we have this year, because it's definitely a different kind of, play here, knowing very well that it's not going to repeat in a game mode. So nice seeing Meltdown. Honestly, for me, the individual plays were great, but for me, it's actually seeing these maps finally coming into play here on the big stage. But one thing that I was really looking forward to is how Luminosity really is going to be that one team that everyone was looking out for, especially knowing that the number 1 team that we're looking at now is Kings. But honestly, it's kind of looking shaky, because I feel like after today, it's going to be a different story, especially after day number 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what this region can do. And of course, I said it before, but as long as you guys are following on all of our social media, eventually this will lead to a global stage. All of these teams will matter. Their paths and how they got there will matter. So you want to make sure that you're following along with all of the regions to see what happens when they eventually make their way to that World Championship. Because like Bobby had said, we did have a pretty top-heavy NA side of things. We saw lots of sweeps. Practically the entire bracket was sweeps with all of those teams that we'd expected to be really strong competitors and do well when it came down to the end of the day. So I think everybody was really happy with those results. And now looking towards EU, things might not be as cut and dry, but that just means that we are in for even more action, even closer games, which makes things that much more exciting, Bobby. And that's one of the things I think I'm looking forward to for today.
Yeah, and I think that's what all the viewers want at the end of the day. Like, you want to see as many Game 5s as you possibly can, especially with how much is on the line. Those spots in the largest scale Stage 4 that COD Mobile has ever seen. Just that much more reason for the teams at the top to really want to prove themselves and kind of set the pace heading into that, because it's a much, much longer Stage 4 as compared to the 2 days that people have been used to from past years. So very much looking forward to the new format. I know the teams are as well. At the end of the day, they've all wanted more opportunity to get on screen and prove their worth, and they're going to have a chance to do that here in EU as well, with a lot more coverage for Stage 3 too.
All right, well, we got 2 days, all right, for them to start getting that coverage, to be in the spotlight, show people what they are made of. So let's start talking about match number 1. We saw it on the schedule. You talked about them when we saw them on the bracket. First match of the day is going to be 117 Not Found versus Animus.
This is an amazing matchup, and honestly something that I think that will go the distance, because for Animus, you've seen these boys just absolutely wreck the place, always going on number 1 or number 2 here in EU. But coming in from 117 Not Found, I feel like this is a team that has been in the middle of the pack, but also wanting to get the glory, the former glory that they did have. And so after all, especially in their 2022 run, wasn't really the run that they wanted here. I feel like this is redemption time for them, and like what I said, round number 5, game number 5 is definitely going to be possible between these two powerhouses of teams.
All right, well, let's talk about these teams on an individual level. Let's walk through some of their rosters here, Bobby, and see who they have on the team and who we're going to be looking out for.
Yeah, obviously, between the two, you got a lot of representation from past Stage 5s. You've got Karma and Saturns, formerly of Nova Esports. I think Karma is one player especially that a lot of people were sad did not end up making it into Stage 4 because of troubles for 117 last year. No question, this is one of the top talents in all of Europe, and I'm excited to see how this roster that they built around him performs. But as you can see, there's some younger talent on here as well. I don't think we've seen as much out of Caesar and Says in past majors, so I'm excited to see what those guys are bringing to the table. But Caesar, no question, has been one of the most hyped talents in Europe over the past few months as well, so he's one player you definitely want to keep an eye out for.
And then, of course, on the flip side of that, we have the Animus roster that we get to talk about as well, Mommy.
Oh yeah, I mean, this team is definitely no stranger to fame, because these are one of the top players when it comes to the EU region. You have such talented players here, and they actually came from Stamina from Stage 5 last year, most of them. You see Narcs being an amazing sniper, and honestly, I think one of the best snipers out there, and really most improved. And you have the return of Shark, and a lot of people from EU just really wanted to see this comeback. So let's see how this, I feel like it wasn't really a retirement, it was more of like a break, a 1-year break, and I'm excited to see a lot of these players come back into the EU region. I honestly feel like here in EU there's a lot of comebacks, and seeing these names again is just really exciting for me.
Well, you know what's exciting for me, because it's not going to be as easy this time around. I'm going to ask for predictions for our matches today, Mommy, and you will not be a caster curse. I have so much faith in you.
Oh no.
Do you think it's going to be 117, or will it be Animus?
The last time that you asked me this, whoever I said was going to win it eventually got 0-3. So you know what? I'm gonna say that it's gonna be an easy win for 117 Not Found, but it's gonna, you know what? I'm not going to caster curse this. I think it's going to be game number 5. And
Okay.
also in the S&Ds, it's probably going to be overtime because 117 Not Found, I think, is a really good S&D team as well.
So
We're
if
seeing the picks
you're
and bans come up, Bobby, is that going to affect your decision at all?
if you're predicting map 5 in all overtimes, does that actually mean it's going to be 3-0 and all the search and destroys are going to be blowouts? I think that's how that works, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping that the S&Ds work out, but what I'm saying right now is probably going to be happening the opposite way around, so fingers crossed.
All right. Well, looking at the maps, obviously, always fun to see those newer maps introduced back in the rotation. Obviously, Arsenal on map 1, it's always one of the more chaotic ones, and I think a great way to get the series started. Already throwing in the newer Search and Destroy map in Express as well. So, once again, get to see how much practice these teams have put in, because especially on those, I think the teams that have put in the larger amount of work are really going to be able to shine, especially with how many teams are unfamiliar with those. There haven't been nearly as many reps as opposed to the maps that have been in the competitive pool for the past couple of years. So we'll see what these guys have as we get ready to hop into map number 1 on Arsenal.
You'll have to see it. It's my favorite hardpoint map at the moment, and so far a lot of the teams don't really know how to play it quite yet, and hopefully we do get to see it from these top teams, Animus and 117 Not Found. And honestly, I feel like 117 Not Found is a little bit good when it comes to that hardpoint matchup, especially Karma being on their side, and especially knowing very well he knows how to spawn trap, especially on Summit. But here, when it comes to Arsenal, let's see how he's gonna perform.
Well, Narcs up in the vents right now, trying to get things cleared out for Animus on the inside of the hard point. They are going to be able to get those final couple of kills. Shark, no question, another one of those top talents you're going to want to keep your eyes out for. Was not in the competition for 2022, but he is back with a vengeance right here as Animus trying to get back into things. But a strong start for 117 Not Found. Says tearing through the competition, does finally get shut down, but teammates there to reinforce, and this is as good of a start as you could look for 117. Lucky off to a hot start as well. 5 kills on the board, and very sluggishly slow out of Animus. Only 2 kills and below for 4 of the 5 players. Gathelia trying to do everything he can to create some leeway for them to make their way into the hard point, but no luck so far as Animus struggling here off the start.
And here we go. I mean, when it comes to the rotations, you get to see that 117 is actually going to be there pretty early on. They're winning a lot of their gunfights, and kind of like what we preempted already in the start of the hardpoint is that 117 Not Found is actually going to be a really good respawn team, and that's when I think Animus would probably turn things around in that S&D. But it looks to be like with 117, they're just winning a lot of these gunfights, the rotational gunfights as well, and knowing very well that Lucky's going to be on a rampage as well as Karma. You don't want to have these players just do a lot of kills this early on into the match, because this can definitely snowball out of control.
It looks like Animus might already be licking their wounds and making the rotation. This is no question not only one of the longest rotations on this map, but in all of Call of Duty Mobile. Karma's going to be left with 20 seconds of free scrap time right there. Honestly, I don't hate the move. Typically, when you have like that amount of time left, I think teams can benefit a little bit more. But with how far this rotation is, no question, the right move for Animus. They're going to need to get a full 60 lockdown, but Lucky in the top side in a nasty spot to catch out a couple, finds one before getting traded out. Unfortunately for them, the break already through for 117. Narcs is spawning on the backside, so should be able to get the reinforcements through, but it is going to be Sparrow popped right here. They have got to get that cleared out if they want to have any type of chance at getting a big chunk of time here.
Good hole coming in from Narcs though, and they actually also have the more favorable spawn here in Garden, so that's going to be huge for them, and especially knowing very well they have to catch up when it comes to the points. 96 and 11 with 30 seconds on the clock to go in there for the contest. Saturn's going to be right there, and he has a Purifier in hand, but it's not going to be really good for him to bring it out in such an open hard point like this one. And we can finally see Animus having signs of life, having a really solid hold, and like what we mentioned, that rotation going to P3 is going to be massive because it's just so far away into P2, and the garden spawn is definitely going to be important for you. Says on the other hand tries to get that garden spawn, doesn't really quite get it, as they're finally getting a lot of the points down. They're soaking it in, and then P4 control is definitely going to be really hard as well, because it's just so open here in batteries.
Tragic COD tying for Gathelia, not going to be able to spot out that first one, and 117 set up for the early rotation once again. Pretty solid spot right here. Narc's going to send out the Hunter Killer. Not quite able to get the kill, but the damage is done. Trying to get some tower positioning to see if they can clear off a couple of these players on the inside of the hard point. Once again, big time struggles for a couple of those newer players in Rasmo and Boot. Really struggling to get going. It's been the Gothillia and Narc show from the Stamina squad from last year, and they finally break on through, or at least get some contest time right here. But this is no question the most chaotic hard point on this map, especially with how close those bottom side spawns can be. You want to make sure that you get those locked down. It looks like 117 gonna have them for the time being, and Saturn's untouchable on the inside of the hard point, doing everything just with the Renetti in hand. Karma's there to clean one more up, and once again a huge hard point for 117.
117 knows very well that Animus is going to be spawning off in both sides of the hardpoint, and they're just holding that anchored spot really, really well. So you can see over here, Saturn's going to be going in for that early rotation into P5 already, but you can see that most of the Animus gang is going to be right there. Rasmo going to be in a really good spot here in 2F here in Lounge. Spots a lot more players, but decides to reposition himself, so that's going to be good. That's a huge claw for the defense, and as he loses that, he's going to be one of the only people that actually is there for that defense. Boot in a really bad situation, and as we see 1171 found finally going in there for the break, and even though Animus goes in there for that early rotation, they're not able to sustain the defense.
Yeah, and they just get absolutely collapsed on from all sides possible. Spawn's not pushed out far enough, no map control, and it backfires on them quickly. Right now, if you're Animus, you're trying to close this gap, you need to get maximum value out of every single one of your operators. Narcs has a chance to do so, but he is the only player with an operator ready to go, and probably not going to be looking to invest it right here, as the rest of this hard point time gone. Rotation starting to come through, is not even enough time to get scrap time right there for Animus. Once again, just struggling. They've got that top window map control, but if you can't get anybody into the hard point, it's not going to do you a whole lot of good. Players coming through that air duct, but they are completely wiped. Every single gunfight loss, and once again, 117 locking in the hard point time here on P1.
Well, it just really looks like that 117 is a little bit more prepared when it comes to Arsenal, and like what you mentioned, top blue is going to be an important anchor point for you, but you have to be inside of the hard point looking into batteries, because that's where everyone's spawning off to. And speaking of everyone spawning off to, a great smoke coming in from 117 not found, just blocking the sidelines, and that actually stops Boot in his tracks, and also going to be a really good time to soak in a lot of these points down. And this is just absolutely amazing performance coming in from 117 not found. 209 and 60 is going to be your scoreline with 12 seconds, the scrap points going into their favor. And you can see that Animus is actually going to be there for the rotation here in P2. They're going to be in a really good position, but Lucky's going to be there to stop that rotation, gets that spawn control as well. And I mean, that's still good for Animus to win that gunfight, to take down Lucky, actually.
And the teamwork just across the board looking so much better for 117. Animus, who I think a lot of people consider top two, at least top three in Europe coming into this, has just looked completely lost. They hit the early rotation right here, but once again, Shark trying to hold things down from a lower angle is not going to be a sustainable strategy for you to lock in a full 60. It looks like they're going to get Narcs pushing out spawns on the top side, and finally some chunks of hard point time locked in, but they need 2, maybe 3 straight full 60s if they want to have any type of a shot in this one. Saturn's nice pre-fire, but COD timing does not go his way. Shark gets the better end of that one, but the top side rotations coming through. Looks like not going to be enough to take down Animus, and 117 this time going to be the team that opts to rotate early. It looks like one player already pushed out in Shark for Animus, and right now he's got a chance to play spoiler if he can find some of these big kills.
Oh, that's going to be huge. I already kind of expected that 117 would actually just give away the hill and go in for the early rotation, and now Gothilla tries to win the gunfight, but unfortunately for Saze, actually goes down. Shark in there, also pretty much stacked when it comes to those score streaks, and operators as well. Gets a 1 kill, and that's going to be essential for the rest of his team to go in there for the defense. And it's going to be super close right now because it's going to be a heavily contested spot. Lucky though brings out the claw. That's going to be huge for the defense, like what we mentioned, and they just want to end it in this hill. They're going to bring out every single one of their operators down here.
Animus have the bottom side spawns, but they've got to get pushed up. The gunfights are just stronger on every front for 117. Nice little pre-fire out of Saturn's to cut off that doorway entry point, and it looks like this may be the end of the line for Hardpoint. 121 to 250. I was expecting a good map, and to be honest, we didn't really get it there, as 117 absolutely run away with it.
So this is the hardpoint map that Animus was supposed to have a little bit more of an advantage of, because you do not want to see 117 not found on Summit. And unfortunately for game number 4, we're having that, because we've seen plays already where Karma was actually spawn trapping, especially in that P3 area. And it just looks like they're just more solid when it comes to the hardpoints, the rotations. They know where to position themselves, especially those anchoring points. And it's such a really good time for them to get that momentum up, especially knowing very well that they're also using their score streaks and operators so well. And now for Animus, kind of surprising that it was going to be this scoreline. I thought it was going to be closer than expected, but here we go. I mean, Animus needs to step it up when it comes to that search and destroy, knowing very well, again, it's going to be a map that is new here in this rotation.
And once again, this is a newer map and typically is going to highlight the team that's put in more reps, no question. 117 looked like the better practice team on just about every single hard point. There maybe 2 hard points where Animus looked solid at best and got probably 40-45 seconds out of it, but across the board the gunfights looked cleaner. It seemed like the communication was better and the team pushes were stronger for 117, and that was as convincing a map 1 as I expect we are going to see here on the first night of EU action here in stage 3. Like you said, Animus, you've got to step up heading into the search and destroy. We'll see what they can do. Obviously, Rasmo, one of the most feared snipers in the European region, they're going to need him to go big here as we get ready to hop into the express search and destroy.
The last time that we actually saw these teams together, it was not good for Animus as well, because they lost it in their game number 5. It was a 3-2, and I feel like it was a little bit more balanced when it comes to those wins. Animus won that takeoff 250 and 239. I mean, it was close, yes. And so that's why I was kind of expecting that Animus would give a little bit more of a fight, but it looks like they still need to take down notes when it comes to that Arsenal gameplay. And for some reason, surprisingly, 117 not found actually has more of an advantage in that S&D, but I feel like Animus would definitely shine a little bit more here, and let's see how much homework they did here for Express.
All right. Well, Karma had himself a nice little game, map number 1. Europe really do love their Holgers. I feel like this is probably the most Holger gameplay we'll see in Stage 5 of the World Championship. Saturn is going to get hopped up early to make the push over toward that A bomb site. Nobody waiting them on the inside, but one player up in that top catwalk area. Looks like with the smoke should be able to get the bomb down, assuming they've got trophies in place. Now the retake is on for Animus. Already one player wiped off the board. It's Lucky taking down Gathelia. Trying to find himself another one right here. Rasmo's got a crossbow out right now, but Shark gets absolutely obliterated by the sniper in the hands of Lucky. And right now, Rasmo has got to get to work, got to find some picks to open up this bomb site, but they get picked apart one by one, and now all down to boot. No real chance at any point in that round, and once again, the domination continues for 117.
Bomb spotted.
Glad to see that they went for that alpha push instead of both of these teams, and not going in for that more chaotic Bravo control. But let's take a look. Both of these teams seem like they're going to be doing the same bit. 5-man push from 117 is actually going to alpha. Going to be met with just 2 players. And now for Animus, they will have a little bit of that mid control, which is going to be really good positioning just in case the bomb does go down. Sam's going to be there. R9 in hand. That is a good gun to have in that particular part of the map in mid. And now as you see, Boot finally getting that first opening pick. Beautiful play of the smoke here coming in from 117.
It's going to be Narcs, make it Shark as well, picking up a couple right there. Bomb actually doesn't go down, and this is what Animus need to do. Find ways to adapt. Pretty predictable approach right there out of 117. The same smoke plant positioning, and right now, only one player left in Saturn to try to clutch up in the 1v4. It would be in total a 1v5, and right now he's getting collapsed on from every direction possible. Gathelia gonna be there to lock things down, and Animus bounce back in a much needed round 2. I think especially with the way the momentum was feeling coming off of that map 1 and the convincing round 1, definitely a much needed round. They bounce back and probably give themselves a little bit of a breath of fresh air.
Great adjustment coming in from Animus, knowing very well that they wanted to go in for more of a mid-pressure. Saturns gets that first pick, KRM in hand, while you don't really get to see it that often. And now Stays gets that kill as well, so it's going to be a 5v3 situation. But fast as that is going to be one more kill. Caesar's going to be a huge player right now. I'm really excited to see how he's going to bring it to the table. But obviously, it's still very doable for Animus to try and clutch this up if they win it right. As you can see on the map, player number 1, that's going to be Narcs, and going to be in a really good position right now to possibly spot one player. That's going to be Saturn's, but they're going to take things slow. And a pretty interesting push coming in from 117. They want to go into Alpha, getting that information down. And I feel like it's okay because there's only one more player using the numbers to their advantage. But Narcs gets that beautiful pick, brings it down to a 2v2. And now it's looking like that play coming in from 117 is not going to be that good because B was basically free.
And that's the best kill you can possibly find, because not only does he even it up to a 2v2, but the bomb goes down. You get the information that Lucky picks it up right there, and now both Animus players know exactly where he is. You got Narcs on the outside, you got Gathilia on the inside trying to make the rotation through, and with the bomb going down, it looks like Narcs is just trying to play distraction, does it to perfection. That's going to allow Gathilia to pick up the 2-piece, and that right there was a big brain play.
That was so good. And my goodness, you don't really get to see that kind of play often. And that is just trusting your teammate. And Narcs made so much noise there in mid. And everyone else from 117 was looking in that direction. And what beautiful confidence and also discipline coming in from Gothilla to not even throw any shots there. Beautiful trigger discipline. And now we get to see smokes go down here in Bravo. Going to be a fake here, as we get to see 117 trying to go in for that alpha plant again, and 2 in a row, it's not working out for you. And now you have to figure out, why do they keep going here in alpha, knowing very well that they're kind of struggling here in this bomb site?
Yeah, you only got one player in the top of that mid building trying to gather information. Rasmo's still yet to get going for Animus, but in spite of that, they've been able to find themselves a lead. And obviously, with the way the last couple rounds have gone, you expect to see a little bit more passive approach from 117, but you have Saturns picking up that first blood onto Rasmo, and just like that, you feel a little more comfortable with your positioning around this A site. You still got to clear out Boot, and it doesn't seem like that nade's going to be in the right spot to find a pick or any type of information. You hear the shots whiz by, but the bomb goes down nonetheless. Boot's going to be there to try to find a pick on the push in. He's going to be able to get some damage. Not sure why Saturn's opted to keep running. Pretty easy kill, but Lucky fires back. Gathilia gonna drop right there now into the 3v2. Deagle shots for Lucky. Oh, it's not pretty, but he gets the kill, and now all down to Boot. 1v3, 22 seconds to work with, but he needs a defuse as well. Spots out one right here, but the reinforcements should be through, and that's gonna be enough for 117 to close up the round.
Not over yet.
Nice double peek, and they were almost singled out one by one, but that's a great adjustment coming in from 117. So now you're thinking about it, okay, A's not working for us. So there's something happening with Animus. They're kind of struggling now when it comes to that defense. Now we're going to be seeing a split right now, a 3 and 2, as Saturn's gets that first opening pick. That's going to be huge for them. Create space for the rest of the team to possibly go in there for another A push, as they made a lot of noise here in Bravo.
Yep. Bomb still in the hands of Caesar, and there's very little info and zero map control for 117. They put themselves in a tough spot off the start of this round. Saturn's going to be able to get the hit marker, but obviously no challenge coming through. Somehow Lucky still finding that first blood, and 2 players already down for Animus. Despite the setup that they had, Rasmo finally looking to start getting going. He's been able to pick up an SMG as well, so a little more versatility. He's not going to have the timing to pick up the second snipe, but at least feeling a little bit more comfortable about this setup. Narc's just going to keep on peeking both of those sides. Fairly predictable approach at a 117 once again, and we'll see if Narcs can make something out of it right here. He hears the audio cue, and just like that, there's a pick, but stays. Jumps down, finds the trade, and once again, it's man advantage for 117.
And just as you said that, Boot gets the kill. And now 1v1 is going to happen. Says gets that a pretty, honestly, COD timing, not going to be on the side of Animus right there. Could have been winnable, but Boot is going to be the only person left here. He needs to be quick. 17 seconds left on the clock, and 2 players are going to be in there for the pinch. As the information finally is given to him, 10 seconds, it's not going to be easy. As 9, 8, and Boot gonna be hiding just a tiny bit, but Says is going to be in a good spot. And 117 Not Found is doing an amazing job at the A side right now, and I feel like it's because they have 2 snipers that can clear out so much space. And for Animus, Razma only has 1, and so with him having, with Animus only having 1 sniper, plus he's not creating that space for his team, I feel like that's the reason why 117's doing an amazing job at this A site.
Razmo, beautiful spot right there. It looked like he had an angle to pick up an opening snipe, but they've just not been hitting for him. Another chance right there that he doesn't connect. If they can get him to start to get into that flow state, I think it's a completely different story for Animus, but they've just been able to find so few first bloods that they haven't really been able to dictate the pace of the game. And on the flip side, Lucky has just not been missing. He's going to get traded out by Boot right there. But right now, that's all you need is you get the information on the backside defense for Animus. And right now, 117 playing a little bit of a waiting game, hoping to bait out a little bit of extra information right here. Karma, eyes across that head glitch, but once again, the shots do not connect for Razmo, and it's a bit of a stalemate over here on the A side.
Boot's gonna be in a good situation, in a good place, but Karma's gonna be right there. But Karma doesn't even have a kill yet, so that's gonna be difficult. And speaking of, does spot Boot, so that's a really huge flank control there coming in from 117. And as we get to see it, just one more player, and Erasmo is just so far away, too far. But he is in a good place to pick off one person. And all Animus needs to do is to try to get as much picks as possible. But for 117, just stay put, because there's no reason why you should go in there for the hunt. And Razmo spots 1, and they exactly know where he is, which makes it even more difficult for Razmo to go in there for the defuse.
I love the adjustment out of 117 there. They'd gone with the same play every single time. I don't think Razmo's going to have time to, even if he gets the kills, get a defuse right here. And once again, shots just not connecting, takes down Karma. But 10 seconds, not going to be enough time to find the kills, let alone the defuse. Says drops him with the boxing gloves to the face. And the adjustment out of 117 right there, you know that they know exactly what your game plan is, but you fake the plant right there, have 3 players ready to collapse on the 2 pushing in for Animus, and you get the man advantage once again. That just seemed like 117 was one step ahead all the way through in the offensive side. Saturn's going to be getting pushed all the way through with a shotgun in hand, and he is going to be a nightmare to deal with if you're Animus. Looks like he's in a spot to take down Gathilia. The bomb is down, and you've still got to find a way to clear him out, which is not going to be an easy task.
2 players coming in from the bottom side of the map, coming in from departures. But that's going to be player number 4. That's Razmo. That's going to be a huge kill for him. And this is where you get to see Animus just take up so much space, and that's going to be huge for them. They're finally going to be evening things down. Narcs able to plant down the bomb. And this is where we finally get to see Animus have signs of life. They're just going to be holding things down for their team. And for 117, they're going to be having a difficult time as they don't have any util to play with.
Lucky's got a nice flank spot right here, but getting pushed by 2 players. If you're Animus, you don't have any reason to take this gunfight. 2 players drop, and now it's all down to Shark. They get picked apart one by one, and just so many unnecessary challs right there. You gotta back up and play the information that you have. Challing a sniper on a head glitch for no reason. They just look lost right now. That should have been an incredibly winnable round, and 117 just made it look like light work right there. And you're only getting big contributions out of 3 of your players. Caesar and Karma have had almost no impact so far, but they just have not found a way to make it happen. Shark gonna find the big opener onto Karma, the aggressive push over onto A, and finally a couple players down for 117 off the start. An opportunity for Animus to capitalize here.
That's going to be huge coming in from them. I mean, I feel like that round was so winnable for Animus, and now it seems like they're just having a difficult time going in there. 117 now. It's going to be the other side. They're having a difficult time here now. Animus looking like the A side's definitely going to be a little bit more comfortable for them as we get to see a lot more engagements here. But with 117 having just 2 players, they're going to have a difficult time as 20 seconds left on the clock, as Narked actually going to be a huge player coming in from Animus, and he's doing an amazing job. And we usually see him as a sniper. And the fact that he's having that CBR and doing so well, getting those high impact kills, impressive, and now looks like that A site is going to be a little bit more favorable. But for 1-7, I feel like that's going to be an adjustment that they'll definitely go for. And speaking of, full 5-man rush from both of these teams, and now Rasmo is in a good spot, and he's getting more kills now on the defense.
He's waiting for somebody to make a wrap through those mid tracks, but not going to happen right now. And 1-7, even with them losing that round, their nades across the board have looked so much more impactful. So many of those big kills. It is going to be that one opener, I believe, Rasmo taking down Lucky, and getting him going is going to be a big portion of the recipe if Animus is going to have a chance here. But Boot gets dropped by the Deagle in the hands of Saturn, and once again, it is going to be 1-7 in the driver's seat right here, is all the way back in spawn with no real map control. Seems like there's a chance 1-7, or rather Animus, may get forced over toward that B side. Bomb still on the inside of Train, and he may be a little stuck as long as Saze is here getting this information. Not going to be able to connect on the first shot, but that info is going to be crucial. I mean, a lot of missed shots right now. I don't know if these guys are in their heads or what, but these are not shots that we're accustomed to seeing these players miss.
Saze though having that 10, majority of it coming in from the attacking side, and now on the defense, looking like he's just having a little bit of a difficult time. Gothilla gets spotted, only gets tagged though. Saturn gives that information that it's going to be a B plant rather. And now for Saze, he was in a really good position to try and rotate early enough into B, but he does just stay put. Pretty slow rotation coming in from 1-7, not found, as Rasmo gets that one kill, gets Caesar, and that's going to be huge for them. Saze gets that kill as well, trades out Rasmo. So we get to see a 3v2. No, a 2v2 as Karma accidentally takes himself out.
Oh, I think he died to the train. He didn't hear the audio cue of it coming in behind him, and that's going to be Narcs with a crucial kill on the Saturns. I think that's our first train kill of the tournament. I need chat to keep a running total of those, because I don't think I've ever seen that happen in competitive, period. This happened to me, but I'm a bot.
I can already see the memes, man. It's gonna be Karma 0, Train 1. And now let's see if that's going to be a detrimental stop of the momentum here for 1-7, because so far on the defense are having a really hard time. Godzilla takes out the shots. Boot gets that beautiful nade kill, and Animus is just right on top of it. The adjustments are going to be huge for them. They're trying to get into the plant. A 4v2 situation. That's player number 4 up in the train. He's going to be in a really good spot, Rasmo, to try in for the defense far, far away. Saturn's though, with the KRM kill, just tries to even things down just a tiny bit, but he does get spotted by Rasmo. Goes in there for the reposition, and Rasmo is actually missing all these shots, and unfortunately for him, hit marker is going to be right there.
Whoa, Narcs just looked confused right there. It looks like Lucky's gonna hop the bomb here. You still got 2 players left to deal with, and not a whole lot of time to do it. Does drop Shark, but it's gonna be Rasmo on the backside, putting that pressure through. You've got to make your way up, and honestly, if Lucky had stuck it right there, might have had a chance, but perfect play out of Rasmo. Lucky's gonna find the kill, but no time for the fuse, and just like that, Animus find a way to tie things back up. I believe 3 rounds in a row. Realistically, probably should have been 4 rounds in a row. But regardless, they're tied up, and that's all that matters.
There you go. I mean, I feel like for Lucky, like what you mentioned, you probably just should have stuck it, because you won't have a choice anyway, and you'd have definitely more of an advantage if you just stayed there, because the sniper from the other end of the team was so far away. Rasmo was trying to go in for that, but it was too far. But it's a good thing that there was going to be a little bit of hesitation coming in from 1-7, and now fast push coming in from both of these teams, as we get to see the full push coming in from Animus, trying to get that information down, trying to get that control here in office. But so far, Shark getting that 2 kills is going to be huge for Animus.
I mean, Shark has just been an absolute menace on the inside of the train on the offensive side. 1-7 has not had a single counter for him. They're finally able to drop him right there, but now all down to Lucky. He's got 14 kills on the board. As once again, Karma and Caesar have just not gotten going at all. It is going to be Rasmo getting the bomb down over on that opposite side of the map, and a long, long trek ahead for Lucky. 3 players to take down, all tucked away in those tight spots. He's going to hop up to the overlook right here to see if he can find an opening for a first blood, but no peeks out of Animus. They're going to make this as long and strenuous as possible.
Lucky Spots Gothilla. There you go. That's one for him. But with 20 seconds left, it's going to be so difficult to try and clutch this up. 1v2 though. Still doable, but Rasmo's going to be right there holding their angles really well. And now we are at match point. I mean, 117 just kind of gave up their lead. And I feel like it's because Animus was just getting so much of that mid control. And yes, they were playing the train to their advantage because everyone else from like Says and Lucky, they're having the snipers. And that's why for Animus, they had to bring it a little bit close. And now that adjustment just dealt so much damage already. And we get to see 117 kind of struggling when it comes to that adjustment, and now it's going to be a push again. Says open things up though, so that's going to be huge for 117, but everyone else in his team need to go in for the rotation right now.
Ooh, shotgun to the face for Gothilla. Saturn's in a nice spot to see if he can find another pick with the nade. I don't know if Shark's gonna be able to get away. No hit marker right there, but likely some footsteps to give the information. Animus on 4 rounds in a row right now and looking to shut things down. If at all possible, you would rather not go back to the defensive side. They have looked so convincing here on offense. Right now, they're trying to see if they can shut it down, but in a 3v5, not going to be an easy task, and the bomb is down right below the stairs. You got still got one player right above, but Saturn's obliterated by Shark, and it looks like one player going to be able to climb up here. Caesar, not in a great spot, has not had himself a great game either. But Says on the wrap should be able to get some big time information. That's not a peek that you want to take too often with the Switchblade. And nice little flank out of Narcs right there is going to be able to equalize now into the 3v3.
Unfortunately, Says couldn't really win that gunfight and stop that rotation going into Bravo. And as we get to see Animus just spread themselves out, the bomb holder going to be in a really bad position as Karma could easily take him out. As we get to see Narcs trying to quietly go into that B plant. But it's a good thing for him. The timing is going to be on his side as Karma not spotting anyone. He doesn't know. No audio cue whatsoever. He didn't hear it at all. And now with the Holger 26 in hand, tries to go in there for that information again. But no one's going to be right there where he's looking at. And everyone else in his team needs to go and rotate.
Boo with the pre-fire. You better watch out. The train's coming by. It looks like it's not going to find anybody there, but 1-for-1 trades. Animus, time is on their side. Only 20 seconds, but one player hops on through. That's Narcs finding Lucky, and now all down to Karma. He gets snapped on as well. And Animus off to a rough start there in the search and destroy, but they bounce back in a big way. A must-have game in this series, as it looks like the search and destroy going to be their strong suit. They're able to tie things up 1-1 as they get ready to head into the control here against 117.
Glad to see that there was a huge comeback coming in from Animus, and 117 almost had it in the bag, but it looks like they had such a troublesome time when it comes to that defense. It's because they always lost that mid control, and the party in the trains was just not fun coming in from these boys. And I feel like the double sniper setup eventually became something that was a weakness for them, because in the beginning, yes, for the attacking round, you're trying to create that space going into that site, but I feel like on that defense, they probably should have just had just one sniper to cut that rotation through. But as we see the highlights finally pulling out here, we get to see a lot of the plays coming in from 117 is going to be good in the first half. But I mean, I just love this play with Narcs and Gothilla. That is just going to be a really good play of how much you trust your teammate.
His deagle shots, not the prettiest, but a kill's a kill. I think the aggression out of Animus paid off in a big way. I think especially the way that once they got on the offensive side, Shark completely controlled the train area. Nobody wanted to challenge that. And you take the snipers out of the equation and force them to kind of play in the close range. Absolutely crucial offensive plays out of Animus, and I think the best thing that they did is they managed to find a way to not go back on the defensive side. I think both teams were fairly predictable in the routes they were going to go, the plays they were going to make, and a couple smart plays out of 117, but definitely a dominant search and destroy. And realistically, that could have been a more dominant win. There are a couple rounds that I would say Animus kind of threw away right there, so if they can sharpen up their search and destroy on that express map, would definitely be a nice thing to have in their back pocket. But getting ready to hop back into the action, it is going to be control. Definitely looking like it will be the swing mode between these two teams. With the way the respawns looked, I think you got to be leaning the direction of 117 heading into this one.
And it's going to be interesting because the last time that these two teams played together and it was going to be a control game, it was Animus getting the best out of them, but that's going to be on that raid map. Let's see in standoff if Animus will be the same way, if it's going to be dominant. And so far it's going to be 117. Obviously they had a better time when it comes to that hardpoint map, but it is a new map. So right now it's going to be a classic standoff, and so far still even when it comes to the lives and when it comes to the anchoring spot, we actually get to see 117 have a little bit more control. That's going to be your statue, that's going to be your tank, but we get to see Animus actually going in there for really good kills as well, going in for that Bravo push.
Delia is saucing right now, controlling that broken wall area, not gonna be able to find Karma up above. A lot of blue in the feed right now as 117 finding their way through right here. They got to get Boo cleared out on the inside of this one, but Caesar going to get the better of that gunfight. Lucky looking to set up a spawn trap right here. He's got players in multiple directions on the outside. He is going to drop. Solid progress going through for Animus so far. Haven't lost too many lives either, but you've got to make sure you don't get put into the spawn trap, and trying to clear Saturns off that tractor area is not going to be easy. The life gap starting to grow right here as 117 closing in on the spawn trap more and more. It looks like Rasmo going to be able to do some damage to get cleared out right there, but he is going to get shut down by Karma, who finds a two-piece, and right now you got to get on the objective because only 30 seconds remaining. It is an objective-based game mode, and you've got to get to work winning some of those gunfights on the inside.
They're just pushed up so far, and it's going to be that control in back alley coming in from 117. They just keep pushing, and they really wanted that spawn trap, and so far it's actually working out for them. 13 seconds left, and so far it's just one tick of progress each here for each flag, as also half the lives too. And as we get to see Karma trying to win this gunfight, it's not going to be enough. Rasmo gets that kill, and the bleeding stops just for a second. And speaking of a second, it's not going to be enough, as we do get to see Animus fall down here in the attacking round, and that's kind of something that you kind of expect here when it comes to standoff and control. But let's see how 117 is gonna play when it comes to the attacking round. I feel like it's going to be a heavy push coming into back alley.
If you're Animus, best case scenario right here is getting an early spawn trap set up and trying to build some of those score streaks, some of those operators. You've already allowed Says to get up onto a hunter killer. Right so far, Animus strong start, and it looks like some crucial info as Rasmo clears out Says in the inside corner right there. One player on the inside of Delhi, not going to opt to peek quite yet, but Animus is getting set up into position. If you get Rasmo up on top of this tractor, if he can hit some snipes, could see those lives dwindle quickly. They're already up 3 right here. Trying to get players pushed out with utility in hand, but not going to be able to connect. And right now, there's a flying Rasmo onto your head. He's going to be able to clear out 2 as well. And now the operator's already coming out. A ballsy play right here, especially with the life lead. But you're just trying to build those streaks, and he's going to be able to do that as he's now got a Pred missile ready to go. Does get knocked off of his claw right there. The damage is done. No ticks of progression yet. You do finally get a player hopped onto A for 117, not found, but it looks like Rasmo actually going to opt to go ahead and use that Pred missile, and that is a lot of utility used, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you'd want to save for your attacking round, but I guess they want to use it all here. 117 though. I mean, the life advantage is not too huge when it comes to Animus, and they're trying to go in for that A progress with just 23 seconds left. But one thing that I'm just trying to figure out from both of these teams is that they're going in there one by one. They're just struggling so much when it comes to flooding into that particular flag, as the third tick of progress is finally coming through. It does get stopped by Caesar. Going to be a huge way to go in there. I mean, for a huge way for them to get that A flag, they're just running out of lives here. 15 seconds left on the clock, and that A progress just being stopped by Narcs. Are they going to be able to get it? And the answer is no, as a 2 and 10. It's downright impossible for them to try and get it. Says tries to get that win though, but with no ticks of progress and 9 seconds left on the clock. 117 struggling in this attacking round, and I feel like the one-dimensional play of funneling all of your players just one by one into that alpha flag is just not going to work out for you. We need to see a little bit more control when it comes to that back alley and also in gas station, and a rotation in from Hay going into Bravo is probably something that we need to see that both of these teams do.
Yeah, obviously the usage of operators is going to be crucial, and right now Animus has more charged up. It looks like one score streak to work with as well. Gadelia, Narcs, and Shark big task ahead to get as much value as possible and see if you can take an offensive round here. Shark with an early push over onto the B side. Typically the tougher one to capture, and I think he's going to be able to get some Sparrow shots off right here as he looks to cut off the rotations. There's nobody coming that way, my guy. He's able to take down Saturns, but the Sparrow especially is an operator you would like to be able to get more value out of, and seeming like he was just kind of blindly firing right there is not what you want to see out of Animus Cathilia. Pops the Annihilator right here. He's going to be able to find one, but he gets shut down as well, and that is so little value out of those crucial operators. Dark's going to be able to win one on the inside of P2 right there. But once again, you haven't allowed yourself to get any objectives captured. You haven't built any type of a life lead. And at this point, you're forced to hop that objective and see what type of damage you can do. Not the start that Animus is looking for here in round 3.
Spawn trap in order as we get to see 2 players coming in from 117 going in there for that spawn trap. But player number 2 though, that's going to be Boot. That's going to be winning a very crucial gunfight, but has to worry about one more player later on. And now Shark gets that kill as well. Trying to go in there for that mid control here in Granny's. But like what you said, there's no ticks of progress whatsoever. And then I feel like they're just trying to get a lot of these kills down. They just cannot catch a break here in A as we get to see a lot of players coming in from 117 in there for that defense. And one big push needs to happen. Everyone else coming in from Animus needs to push as a team and split themselves into 2. I feel like that's the best thing that they can do right now.
Rasmo's gonna pop the claw right here, and the round's not over yet, but the Hunter Killer goes out. It doesn't hit him at all. He's gonna be able to find one and trying to set up the spawn trap, but he's all alone here on this B side. Right now, the lives continue to dwindle as the rest of his team's getting spawn trapped, and he is the lone man on that B side as they get completely wiped off the board, and now all down to Cathilia. It looked like it might be a manageable round, but they just could not buy a gunfight toward the end of that one. And once again, the defense has reigned supreme every single time so far. Utility usage going to be that much more important heading into that round 5. Animus need to give themselves the best possible chance at taking an offensive round. They got to focus here on the defense, but they are finding those kills with the guns off the start.
As that life lead is slowly just going up and up. And that gunfight being won in back alley is going to be huge as well. And that's going to be player number 3. Lucky will try to go in there and also get a lot of these kills, but he's going to be the only one left in his team. And so far, he needs to have a backup just in case he does go down. And we no ticks of progress whatsoever coming in from 117. And Animus seems like they're doing a better job when it comes to the attack every time they're there. But right now, just no progress whatsoever coming in from 117.
And no question, Animus has looked like the better defensive team every single time around, but they haven't been able to turn any of that into momentum to give themselves an advantage when they get back to that offensive side. And here you see Boot pulling out the war machine. Like, you're up 11 lives. You're not in a life disparity. There's no chance that they're gonna get these objectives captured. Why are we throwing away this utility when you have an offensive round you've not been able to win so far? That looks like they're gonna be able to have a solid finish right here, and they do still have 3 operators ready to go. But once again, why do we feel the need to use those operators when you're in such a dominant position so far? You've only got a couple players that you have to clear out. I feel like it might end up backfiring, especially given the fact that 117 has 4 of their 5 operators charged up and ready to go.
You are absolutely right. That is a great point. The fact that they used a lot of their operators down here where they could have used it later on into possibly the last round, because 117 will have more of an advantage because they're going on defense. They're fully streaked out. And now for Animus, you need to bring out everything because they didn't have the best time when it comes to the attack. Both of these teams do. The 2 and 13 is going to be that lifeline. Caesar, if he brings out an operator, I will actually lose it, but looks like he's not. He's just getting that information down. 42 seconds. Still quite a lot of time, but obviously with 13 lives, it's just going to be so difficult to try and clutch this up. And everyone else from Animus actually knows where everyone is going to be from 117. And they're just going to be staying put. I like that play. And now Shark gets that 1 kill, brings down Sage. And now Saze, rather. Caesar, though, gets the trade, but you're going to try to get that 1v12. It's just impossible. And now this is where things get interesting, right? 117 will start on the defensive side, which I feel like Animus, like what you mentioned, has a stronger defensive setup. So let's see. They're pretty even when it comes to the operators, too.
All right. Big task for Animus up ahead. Yet to see an offensive win here in the control. Shark going back alley. He's not going to wrap the corner, though. Say's gonna drop right there, and that's a big opener for Animus. Every single one of these gunfights going to be crucial, and there's Karma popping the first Annihilator. What type of value is he gonna be able to find? Nobody really peeking him right now, and a couple big gunfights on the inside of Courtyard for Animus. It looks like that is going to be the Annihilator, still in the hands of Karma, but he is going to run out of time right there. No eyes on Gathelia. Shots not connecting underneath the tractor either, and somehow he's staying alive. He should be able to win the gunfight. He outlasts him. More bullets, and now the operator's starting to come out. Rasmo, claw in hand, Gathelia, Annihilator in hand. They have a chance to go big right here. Players on both of those objectives, but Saturn's with the Purifier gets a crucial kill and a clear out over onto B.
That was supposed to be a huge gunfight, one flag, but you get to see it. One player into that Bravo side, and it's going to be huge if he's able to win this gunfight up against player number 2. That's going to be Saturn's. And as we get to see B being cleared out, there's no defense whatsoever. I mean, player number 2, Saturn's going to be the only player that's going to be right there, and Shark still wins that. Able to get the second tick of progress almost, but Caesar actually brings out a really beautiful Sparrow kill, stops the push, and also cleans up that second tick of progress.
Well, right now, that is the only operator in play. Narc's the last remaining one for Animus. See if he can make anything of it. Shark's gonna win a big gunfight right there, and they're at the very least keeping the lives even, but you have got to get one of these objectives captured. You gotta get that extra minute on the clock, and with a Sparrow right here, I don't know why that's the place you're opting to push. A big gunfight win once again, but they're down in lives and continue to be so as Caesar wins a crucial one, and now with a 6-life lead and no objectives captured for Animus, they get absolutely picked apart. Boot, Narcs, it's now or never if you're going to use those operators. What are you waiting on? Boot gets obliterated without a chance to use it, as does Narcs. Why? What are you saving it for? This is the last round. Pull it out. Give your team a chance. It's going to be 117, taking yet another respawn here on map 3.
It just looks like when it comes to Animus, it's questionable their usage of their operators. They don't bring it out when they need to, and they bring it out when they still have a fighting chance in the next round. It looks like, again, back to the drawing board when it comes to raid right now. I mean, raid control, because there were so many moments that Animus could have actually won that offensive side, but unfortunately for them, it's just the operator usage, the score streaks were just not there. And 117, I mean, it wasn't a perfect game either for them, but still, the fact that they ended things on the defensive side, that was the only reason for me. That's why they won.
I mean, I think there's a lot of work to do for both teams. There didn't really seem to be any type of definitive offensive strategy. It was just hope that you can win more of the opening gunfights, and if you don't, then it's chalk, move on to the next round. 0 offensive round wins. And fortunately for 117, they were the team that ended on the defensive side. But if that's not the case the next time around, I think you need to put in that work on the control side of things to try to figure out a way to give yourself an advantage on the offensive side.
Definitely. And now we're moving into, again, 117 territory, because we're obviously getting a game number 4, and that's going to be Summit Hardpoint. And we absolutely know that 117 is so good in this map. It's pretty good in this mode. And for Animus, we've seen them come back. But when it comes to that slow pace S&D, and yes, they picked it up when it comes to the aggressive side, they need to bring out all the stops. They need to be 2 steps ahead when it comes to that rotation, especially in P2 into P3. And that's when we'll know if they'll be able to get this Summit Hardpoint, because this is not going to be easy, especially you're dealing with Karma here that can spawn trap you.
Yeah, right now, if you're Animus, at least it's a little bit more of a familiar hardpoint map. Obviously, still going to be very much rotation oriented, with P3 being that crucial money hill where you want to be able to get the majority of the time. It is a lot of that opening gunfight portion going the way of 117, but Gathelia fires back. That's going to be a crucial double kill with the holder in hand, making a triple kill. Does get traded out, but it's Animus on the inside of the hardpoint right now. No real topside control, as Narcs is going to opt to hop down right here, and they're trying to take all these gunfights up close and personal. Seems like a little bit of a 50-50 strategy, but it's working out for them so far, especially with Gathelia tucked away in that corner.
That's going to be huge. Gunfights being won by Animus, still applying that pressure, but obviously you need to get that top control because you will have sights down for the people trying to enter in for that special forces base and also get sights in here in P1 as well. Gatilla wins that beautiful gunfight, gets 5 in a row. I mean, more 4 actually, but I was gonna preempt it with Lucky, but it's a good thing that Lucky was lucky with his life. Shark, though, goes down. Essential gunfight being won by Saturns right now as they do get top control here. And with everyone else coming in from Animus spawning off into the opposite side, that's gonna be a huge way to control that P2 and also the possible rotation later on into P3.
And it looked like with that topside control, 117 should have been in a position to win a couple of those gunfights. It's finally going to be Caesar hopping on down as he gets the hard point cleared, and still green spawns for Animus. That's where you want to be for P3, but obviously you can't just give away these 40 seconds for free. That is a big 3 kills right there. Just like that, they're on the inside of the hard point. The beauty of the Holger, you can spray and pray all day, and that's exactly what Gatilla is going to do. He has got 12 kills on the board already. Not going to be able to find Karma right there, but ultimately you get the spawns locked down for right now, and you're pretty happy with it given that you've already built yourself a little bit of a lead. Big gunfight up ahead for Shark right here. 2 players pushing through. Karma's going to be able to win the first one. He's on a 4 spree already. 1 player still anchoring the back spawns for Animus. Big crossfire out of Gatilla to at least keep things clear for now.
That's going to be huge fights coming in from Animus. They do have the spawns, but they do have to worry about 1 player that's going to try to infiltrate, but it's a good thing that they win those. And now we get to see how well 117 can try and break the hill. And so far, they're trying to go in for the top side of the map. That's something that you don't really get to see usually because you'd want to have a little bit of control as well into cable car. And so far, they do win a lot of the gunfights down. But obviously, with Gatilla trying to go in there for the Holger, he will definitely win a lot of these gunfights. And speaking of, he does get those. And they're just having a hard time when it comes to the positioning here.
Ooh, very dangerous trophy, but Shark able to pop out the CBR, still gets the better of the gunfight, and right now this is the exact strategy the Animus are looking for. Like we talked about before, P3 spawns are the most important on this entire map, and if I had to guess, 117 probably going to opt to rotate early right here. You are going to get Karma in the top side, but he loses that opening gunfight, and just like that, you could be spawning toward the back of the map with every additional gunfight lost. The Pred Missile going to end up hitting a trophy right there for Boot, so no value yet, but Say's winning that big gunfight. Oh, and the War Machine comes out. That's going to send Animus. No, they're not spawning across the map. The new hard point is popped, so they're going to have those close spawns, and not a bad loss, especially given how much damage you were able to do there on P3.
Absolutely. I mean, the new spawn is definitely going to be really good for Summit right now as you're not spawning all the way across the map, but it's still going to be 117 here in P4 as we do get to see Lucky winning a lot of the gunfights here in Long, and that's essential gunfights being won, and so they don't go in there for the pinch. He's still going in there for that defense. Going to be huge if he gets to win it, and he still does. Going to be on a streak, and it's still going to be P4 control for 117.
Looks like they're going to be able to break on through. Gatilla doing his best to give it a shot right here, but with the dominance that 117 have had here on P4, looking like it could very well be a tie game when we head back to P1. Shark doing everything that he can, but a lot of solo pushes for Animus that have not paid off at all. Rasmo gets the solo break on through. That's some scrap time right there, and picks up a CBR. They'll make it a little bit easier to clear out the pushing 117 players. That's going to allow some breathing room for the other Animus players to get set up over here on P1, but Says, how do you win that gunfight? Takes down a big one right there, and now 3 make it 4 in the feed, mean that Boot is all alone on the inside of the hard point. The 117 players collapsing, and they are not quite going to be able to find the break, at least not yet.
Says has been a humongous player here coming in from 117, just winning a lot of these rotational gunfights, and just that timing coming in from that War Machine a while ago to break that control is definitely going to be huge for them. And now also clearing out P1 a while ago, but unfortunately not able to utilize the fact that they created so much space for them. And now Karma gets that 2-piece though. Not able to still break into the hill as they're still trying to get that control here in 2F. They're finally able to contest it as Lucky gets his 12th kill, but does get taken out, although he does have that claw in hand.
Rasmo, LK in hand, not something that you're going to see a whole lot whenever it comes to Summit, but he's able to put in some work with it. A couple of big gunfights once again for 117, but feels like in the last few hard points, they've been playing a little bit of catch up, and Animus has been first to strike with the exception of that P4. Right now, it is Say's set up early here on P2. War Machine's going to come out, but he gets taken down immediately. And if he took a shot right there, might not get any regen. Shark goes big with the Sparrow in hand. He's going to get shut down by Saturn's on the top side, but he gets traded out as well. And right now, Animus in position to lock in a big chunk of hard point time here on P2 once again. Caesar gets the better of that gunfight, and 117 once again moving upward. You have got to get those spawns pushed out, and Gathili is not letting that happen anytime soon. 2 crucial kills there as well. 1 player left on the point with a War Machine in hand, and it looks like they're at least going to be able to get the contest for the time being. 117 does get things cleared off. Right now, spawns are going to be crucial, and some big gunfights happening on the backside.
Oh my gosh, speaking of, Saturn's wins an essential gunfight and is able to hold it really by himself, but that gives in a lot more rotational advantage coming in from his team, but unfortunately, the rest of his team is just not going to be there on time. And now as we get to see big gunfights trying to be won here by Cable Car, 117 still trying to struggle here when it comes to the early rotation here in P3. We get to see player number 1, that's going to be Narks, trying to go in for that control. Rasmo goes in big with the Deagle kill. That's going to be huge kills for him, and only 1 player is going to be right there to try and capture it, and Says cannot do anything because the rest of his team just not winning these gunfights, and this is Animus's hill. I mean, 117 has not been able to break this at all, and now it looks like Animus wants to get that 60 as well.
Ooh, and Narks goes big with the Purifier, going to be able to take down 2. Gathili is going to opt to pop his Annihilator, and a Claw coming out for Rasmo as well. And once again, kind of questioning, you're in the position where you got such dominant spawn control. This is not a hard point you had any type of difficulty holding down. Why not save those till a later spot? And they're going to get spawns flipped on them anyway. Wow, what a turn. 117 able to pick up the scrap time, but it actually might work to the advantage of Animus. They get spawned toward next, and with only scraps to be found for 117, maybe not the worst thing to happen right there is 117 maybe getting a little bit overzealous right there. They've got some operators to work with to try to find the break, and no sort of utility for Animus. But right now, Animus in place to position themselves to win this game if they can get a solid chunk of time here on P4.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the best case scenario coming in from 117. Get the scrap points in P3, and you're also going to be primed in position to go in there for the break with the operators that you have, but they can't even go close. Big gunfight being won, though, by player number 4. That's going to be Karma, and everyone else in his team needs to go and win it, but then Animus is just going to be playing those headies to perfection. Narks takes himself out, unfortunately. That is 1 operator down for them. Caesar gets a big double. Now, that's going to be huge for them, and finally, we get to see 117 touch it just a tiny bit, but it's just 1 player. It's not going to be enough to sustain.
Animus have done a phenomenal job. Anytime they've had initial spawn anchoring, they've pretty much gone untouched. The only time where we saw 117 get a big chunk was on an early P4. But right now, it looks like Animus might be on their way to forcing a map 5, and with the way they looked in Search and Destroy, that's exactly what they want. Gathilia has been himothy this map. 39 kills with a Holger, no less, going up against a bunch of SMGs on Summit. He's going to pick up kill number 40, does get spotted out by Lucky on the bottom side. Narks gets some information, but right now he's trying to lock in the tap side. It's going to be Saturn's on the flank right there. All 117 in the feed. That's a full 5 wipe, and this one's not over yet.
There you go. Saturn's tries to spam in the Holger and gets that kill. And these EU players just know how to play this gun. Possibility to get the 3rd. There you go. On a 6 spree right now. Or a 5 rather. And that's going to be huge for him to try and get a lot of these score streaks down. Needs to play it back just a tiny bit in order to get more of that, especially that Preddy is going to be huge. And there you go. That's going to be huge for him. Gets that Preddy. Does get that information down and finally goes down.
Hard point is ours.
It's 117 breaking on through. No time here on P1 for Animus. That's a big gunfight win to at least get some contest time right here, but You got to put the final dagger in if you want to be able to force that final map, and 117 is not going away. Saturn's going to have a pred to with as well. He takes down Shark, and Boot's going to take himself down with what I assume was an operator. And just like that, things looking a little bit dicey. Animus is going to be on the inside of the hard point. You got to take down Saturn's right here. He's got a Purifier in hand. Lucky's going to push on through as well. 117 locking down the hard point time, and it looks like they're going to be able to get green spawns as well. If you're Animus, you have got to find some contest time, and things are falling apart quickly. Sparrow goes big, but he's going to take himself out as well. The claw's going to pop. Lucky's going to drop as well, and Animus only need 8 more seconds. They're hopping on in, but it's pure chaos here on P2. They have got to get one final clear, and that might be what they needed to shut this down and force them at 5. One more kill goes through, and Animus avoid disaster to take map 4.
There you go. I mean, we already said that when it comes to these two teams, it's down to the wire, it's close. And for Animus, the only reason, honestly for me, the reason that they won is because they always go in early when it comes to that control in P3. They locked it down. They had 120 seconds in that hill. There was, I mean, no, it's actually like 110 because they gave 10 seconds away to 117. But still, that is such a great matchup here in Summit. And when we hyped up, especially for me, I thought 117 was going to be having this down the bag, but it seems like they're having such a difficult time when it comes to those rotations where we were kind of expecting them to be at. So I feel like they just didn't expect that Godzilla's going to be right there shredding with a Hulker in such great angles for them.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the 110 seconds that they got. The 10 seconds that they gave away on P3 actually worked to their advantage to give them those early spawns on P4, and that was ultimately what allowed them to actually build a gap and put this one away up against a 117 team that was not going away easily, that looked dominant on the first hardpoint map. And Animus bouncing back in a big way. You got to think that's a momentum builder. And you even look back to the control, like on the defensive side, they never looked bad. Really, since that P1, they've looked pretty strong across all of the maps so far. We'll see if they have what it takes to close out this final map and take the map 5.
Definitely, and it's going to be so great here. This game number 5, an S&D, it's going to be in firing range, and this is a really huge map coming in from Animus because obviously I hope that they will take out their 2 snipers because this is definitely a map that you would want those, and we've already seen it for 117 Not Found to have that double sniper setup. They had more of an advantage going in there for the attacking round, but everything fell apart when they did start on that defense. So definitely a lot of things to work on when it comes to both of these teams, but I feel like Animus does have a little bit of an edge when it comes to that S&D.
Yeah, their adjustments were really solid. On the offensive side, they look, for the most part, untouchable. And obviously, this is a map that they're going to be a lot more comfortable in. That could also potentially give a little bit more edge over toward 117. Yes, they didn't look great in the first Search and Destroy map, but going to feel a lot more comfortable on the firing range. Search and Destroy, it's been a map that has been in the competitive map pool every single year in the history of Call of Duty mobile esports. So this is definitely a perfect way to finish out this series. I think we had one game 4 the entire time in NA.
Yeah.
First match, we've already got a game 5 on our hands for EU. This is definitely looking to be an exciting region to watch. We'll see what these guys have as we hop on into round 1.
Here we go. The attack's going to be 117, and you already know how well they can play it, but just being greeted by one player, that's going to be Shark. But that information is definitely going to be found, and unfortunately gets caught with his just so open, trying to go in there. It's not going to be really good. The timing not in play for him. The rest of Animus tries to go in there for that rotation, but a little bit slow in my opinion, as everyone else from 117 is going to be right there. Beautiful smoke coming out from 117. Just stops the push coming in from Godzilla.
Right now, he's in a cheeky spot to try to find a kill, but he's not going to have eyes on anybody. Stays prone on the backside, trying to get some information on the wall bangs, but none to be found right there, and that's a rough angle for Boot to try to take. It's all 117 in the feed right now. Narc's going to be able to find one, but they're just stuck over here on tires, and 117 are not moving. Narc's going to be forced to push on through, and there's just no time to work with. Still 3 players left alive for 117. Great attempt out of Animus, but no time to work with, and a solid push onto the B side to lock in round 1 for 117.
It's just so difficult because Animus was trying to push down into tunnel where everyone else from 117 is actually going to be on jungle side. And I feel like if Animus brought at least one person into jungle going in there for that flank, maybe it could have been a different situation. But well played coming in from 117, doing an amazing job when it comes to the attack. As we get to see Caesar gonna be able to get that huge kill. Saturns as well gets a pick. And now one sniper down coming in from Animus.
Yeah, that was a huge trailer push right there. Caesar trying to get some information. No eyes on anybody quite yet. I don't think that's going to connect. That was a bit of a long shot. Finally, Erasmo starting to pick things up. They have needed him to get going for a while. And it looks like he's got the wallbang lineups. Not going to be able to connect on those first couple. They've got to get pushed in here, and they got to do it quickly. He's going to pick up another on the Lucky, a 2v3. Definitely manageable if you can get it. And Shark not going to win that gunfight. Super winnable, but Rasmo wins a big one. Crossbow going to come out. He connects with that as well. And now into the 1v1. It's going to be Karma on the backside, but he doesn't read it correctly. Karma clutching up right there, and man, Rasmo nearly had the clip of stage 3 so far.
I know, right? That was just a fast situation coming in from this guy. I mean, he needed to step it up in that first S&D round, but now he definitely stepped it up. Rasmo having that 4 to his name, but Karma's just so good at stopping that flank, and he was able to win an essential gunfight now. And let's see, another break coming in from Bravo, but it's going to be a heavier setup coming in from 117. I mean, from Animus, rather. It's going to be a 2v4 situation, but it's still Lucky trying to get that pick, trying to open that space coming in from 117. But as long as they get that information down, they back off, and that's going to be huge. That is going to be an amazing back off coming in from 117 as information is going to go down. But you get to see Animus actually just put in 3 people in Bravo, but A is going to be completely empty.
Yeah. Right now, that's exactly what they want. You got a player pushing out, trying to get that information. Obviously, Animus is still fully set up over here on B. And if you can get that bomb over toward A, you're going to be feeling pretty comfortable. You've already got Gathilia down. But it looks like 117 still going to try to make their way into B. And I'm not sure if they got the audio cue onto Saturns, but they get eyes on him. And Boot should have been able to clean that up. That is a big miskill.
And now for 117, you need to go push now. I mean, they just gave too much time away, and you have 2 players trying to go in for the defense in Alpha. And now, as they're trying to make a lot of noise, yes, I get it, but you're making a lot of noise in B, but you need to make some sort of progress going into Alpha, and they need to move right now. Just 34 seconds left on the clock. Just move. You have numbers advantage already. Not only that, you also have a sniper. And now, speaking of a sniper, Rasmo tries to spot if he can see any kind of rotation, but there you go. The information finally pulls through as a 3-on-4 situation is going to be right there. Boot gets 1, does get traded out by Caesar. One player coming in for 117 is Karma, going to be a little bit too far. He needs to go in there just in case everyone else from his team is going to go down.